Hey, and we are live. This is another episode of Cubfidential. I'm the producer, Denzel Snipes. No, I'm not broke. It says broke the internet. But anyway, we got a great show for you, a loaded show. As you can see in the topic, the Cubs are staying hot. 17 games over 500. They lead the NL Central by 6.5 games over the nearest opponent. And hey, guess who's back? I know you missed him. He's here, the one and only, your host, our host, the world's host. Well, maybe not the world just yet, but he's New York's host and he's Chicago's host. That's fine for right now. JB Ellis.
Hey, what's going on? Great job filling in for me, Denzel. Great shows as usual. Um, Big shout out to the whole crew: Botkins, Jason, uh, the pundit Jacob Krisner. Uh, the Cubs are kicking ass and taking names. I mean, 17 games over 500, doing what they got to do. As I always say, win 2 out of 3 versus teams you should beat, and win at least 1 out of 3 against the good teams. They faced every top starter I could think of: Skeen, Skubal, Wheeler, and the list goes on. And they're still 17 games over 500. It's what you want to see. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Let's bring in Botkins. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies, who I hate. James Tatum. I hate your Phillies. If you're watching, I despise them. They're like the dirt on my shoe is how I feel about them. How you doing, Botkins?
I'm good, man. I'm just about as good as the Cubs are doing, baby. Unfortunately, no game tonight, getting rained out. But like you said, the games of the Philly series, we lost 2 out of 3 in that series. One of them a one-run game, uh, and then it's just like, hey man, like we lose. Then the next game we win 8-4. The next game we lose 2-7. But like you kind of want to beat those types of teams, but then because like those are the types of teams you're going to be playing in the playoffs, but can't win them all. I think that was like the first back-to-back series that we had lost, really, because we had lost the Tigers series right before that. So like almost since the early part of the season, and then we got hot. So hopefully that'll happen again.
Yeah, they're just doing what they have to do. They're, like I said, winning 2 out of 3 against teams that they're obviously better than, and being competitive in the other series, winning at least one, sometimes winning the series. So you got to give them credit. So, Hap Homer twice in the 8-4 win, not the 804 win. Trust me, there is no 804 wins for Hap. He actually, I have a little side joke with my wife and my father in law. Hap is not Mr. Primetime. When there's nobody on base, there's nobody better on the team. When you put people on or pressure, it seems like he doesn't come through. Give him credit. He came through in extra innings this week. So I'll give him credit for that. He finally stepped up. But what's your thoughts on Hap in pressure situations?
Well, my overall view on Hap is he's the greatest left fielder in Cubs history. Name me one better left fielder than Ian Happ in Cubs history.
That's a great question. We're gonna have to dig into the history books.
You
I'm gonna
you
ask that.
you can't. There's not one better. He's got over 1,000 hits in a Cubs uniform. He is he is this team's Anthony Rizzo, like the glue guy, the guy that kind of is the captain. He's been there the longest. He's never gonna be, he's a Gold Glover. He's been an All Star, but he's never gonna be like this elite player, right? Like we know PCA is like the MVP and Kyle Tucker and what he can do, but like Ian Happ is like the glue guy, the guy that like is going to be the locker room guy, the guy that's going to bring this team together and kind of be the leader of this team. And he's the greatest left fielder in Cubs history. It's time to admit it. It put some respect on Mr. Ian Happ's name.
Wow, you heard it here first. Botkins goes out on a limb and says Hap is the greatest left fielder in Cubs history. I'm going to do some
Name one better.
research.
The
I'm
only
going to
name
do
that
some
people come
research.
the only name that comes up to me when I say this, people say Moises Alou. Are you going to tell me in a Cub uniform? Now we're not talking
No.
career wise. In a Cub
Yeah, no.
uniform, who was better? Ian Happ's
Yeah.
better.
Uh, I just wish he performed better with pressure. When there's guys on, he's just not the same guy. When there's nobody on, he's relaxed. And I think it's a relaxation thing because he can play. He obviously
Yeah.
has all the skills. I just think he puts too much pressure on himself when there's guys in scoring position. And I think it takes away from what he does. He's a good fielder. I don't think he's a great fielder. I think he's a really good fielder. He's a good hitter, but he's sometimes doesn't not patient. And unfortunately, he puts too much pressure on himself when guys are on. And he doesn't need to do that because this lineup is actually stacked. So if he can't do it, there's somebody behind him that can. So just relax and do what you do. You know. So what
Yeah,
did you take from the Philly series, seeing Wheeler and the rest of the Phillies, who were one of the top teams in the East?
yeah, I mean they're right there, one of the top teams in baseball. I mean, unfortunately, looking back, like you lose the first game of the season or first game of the series in extras. They score 2 runs there. You're only in the bottom of the 11th, so this means like some missed opportunities in that game. You battle back and you ended up losing 3-4, and they scored the 2 runs there in the 11th, and it just means like in the 10th, like you got to score when these guys are starting with this ghost runner on second shit that we've had the last few years, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go away. Like you got to score in the 10th, and you got to score if you're the away team. You got to score 2 runs because it feels like the other team, the home team's always going to score. In the bottom half, at least 1 run. So you almost got to score. I feel like you always got to score, try to score 2 runs to really put the pressure on, and they scored the 2 runs in the 11th, and we didn't.
Yeah, you would think that nowadays, since they went back to the Ghost Runner, or since they implemented the Ghost Runner, they would be new teaching of fundamentals when it comes to spring training to bring it into games where you have extra innings. You don't want to do it in the third inning, I don't care. But you get to the 10th, scoring that runner from second is imperative. Whether you're the home team or the away team, there's no reason to start a runner at second with no outs and you can't get that guy home. So you
Yeah.
would think that, that would be a big part of your spring training is, okay, guys, we're going to work on moving a guy from second for a week. And that's going to be all we do because we can't afford to lose these games.
Exactly. One thing I will say about this Cubs team is like one night they're hitting home runs, and then in some games where they're not manufacturing, like they'll manufacture runs a lot of times. Like, and we saw that a lot in the Pirates series. Like, our offense isn't clicking, or maybe the wind's blowing in, but so we got to manufacture runs, and this offense is really doing that. And kudos to Craig Counsell for putting guys in motion, putting those things in. So we do that for the most part, but for whatever reason, it seems like in a couple times here, especially in these extra innings, we're not manufacturing the runs.
Yeah, I mean that's a great transition to get to the Pittsburgh series. Um, so the Cubs took 3 out of 4. Every game was a one-run game. Hap had the game-winning RBI, which was money, and I gave him credit for it. And they won 3-2 in 10 innings. And like you said, they were manufacturing runs. I remember I was listening on the radio to, I believe it was the 3-2 game, and guy on first, no out. They got the guy to second. Before you know it, he scored. He stole second. Then they ground ball, got him over to third, and then he scored. All without another hit. It was great. I mean, that's what you need to do. You got to find ways when you get guys on to put pressure on the defense, and it was great to see. Especially
Yeah,
when you're the Pirates, even though they're a last place team, they have Keller, who's a good pitcher. They have Skeens, who's one of the best right now, the best of the game as far as starting pitching. So you got to find ways to score. And how are they able to do that compared to, when they score 11 runs other days?
yeah, I think some of it is just who's in the offense. I've said this before on here. To me, it's all about what PCA does. He's the guy. Like when he is on the base pass and he's like he's 2, 3 for 4. Those are the games that we score a lot of runs. But if you look at the games where maybe he's like 0 for 3, in those types of things, like it's like and he's not making the offense move. Like those are the games where our run differential is very it seems to drop lower. The game we lost, the Paul Skeens game, like they did a good job against Paul Skeens. Really, like they just couldn't. They couldn't get the big hit in that game. It felt like, and they got Skeens. Like his pitch count was up there, and then and so you're thinking, man, we got Paul Skeens out of there, and we should be able to win this game against the Pirates bullpen. Just could never get that big hit in that game we lost, and it's sometimes those things happen, but I kind of credit to, like I said, what PCA, I think when he's hot, That whole offense is hot. And sometimes you just know how it is at Wrigley. Sometimes that wind's blowing in, and you got to have to manufacture runs, as we saw. The rest of the series. I think Craig's done a good job of realizing our offense isn't really clicking, and so we're gonna have to play a little small ball here. And then you see things like last night in last night's game where the home run ball is working, and then you're gonna whack a few because the wind's blowing out 90 miles an hour.
So, a couple of questions for you. So, let's start with this one. As I said, over the last few weeks, you saw Skeen, Scooble, Wheeler, and I'm sure I'm missing people, but top rate starters all over.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on how they performed against the best arms of the game?
Yeah, we did really well. I mean, even our pitchers, I think, who was it? Ben Brown pitched an incredible game against Screwball, I think, and we've done well, like what you expect to go. You know what I mean? Like when you're facing these elite arms, if you could scratch two or three, you're good. You know what I mean? You're happy with scratching two or three across, and we only scored one run in the Skeens game, but the hits were there. Like it's not like we were being unhittable. We just couldn't figure out couldn't get that big hit to come across. But I thought, you walked away with for the most part, still, decently. I think we won one of those games, or maybe we went 0-3 in all of them. I don't remember, but I felt pretty good. I still feel pretty good about our offense. I still think we have an elite offense, but we know good pitching is always going to beat good hitting, especially in the postseason.
So, after seeing the schedule, I mean, this looks like it was probably one of the toughest parts of their schedule for the year. Your thoughts? Is this team for real? Can it make a deep October run, or is this we're going to get to the playoffs, we're going to get the Dodgers or the Mets, and we're going home?
I think what's deep though. So if I just right now I want to win our division and make it to October first. So, and I think we have a good enough team for that. I think our lineup is good enough to win the World Series. I would take this lineup over the 16 lineup. The difference is I'm not taking this pitching staff over the 16 staff or maybe even the 15 staff. We're gonna have to. Jed said, "Hey, he knows. He's said it on various occasions that we're gonna have to add some pitching depth. We're gonna have to go make some trades. I'm gonna go make a trade to make those things. Who that's gonna be is gonna be the question mark. So ask me a little bit after the trade deadline, and I'll have a better answer for you. But I really think our lineup can compete with any baseball team there is. That's how good I think our lineup is. Can our pitching staff, especially our starters, can they compete with anybody? We know we're going to get Shota back. J-Mo has been, he's been pretty good, but it seems like he always allows like one or two home runs a game. So we're gonna have to limit that, and then the rest is just real questionable. I think the Horton kid should stay, but you're asking a lot from a rookie, especially if you're going to continue to pitch him deep into October. Colin Ray's been up and down. Ben Brown is really up and down. It's like he has one good game out of every 4 games. So it's just like we're gonna have to add. I think we need one really frontline starter, and then and then go get somebody, another guy. Since if Justin Steele was on this team, I'd feel a lot better. But unfortunately, he's not. So
That's fair. Okay, so you brought up PCA a number of times. So last night, him and Suzuki both hit homers in a 5-3 win over the Brewers. Brown got his 4th win of the year. I'm listening to Mad Dog Radio, which we at Sideline have great friends with Babchek and former host over at Mad Dog as well that we're friends with. But, today on the station, they were talking about who the MVP of the NL should be. And they were talking about PCA, and listening to it, I think I'm too biased. I see enough of his games. So I'm not going to say I think he should be MVP, but they made a good argument for it. I mean, he's hitting phenomenal. He's got, I think, the best WAR behind Judge, and I forgot who the other player was, but he's like number 3 in baseball. I mean, so could he be a true MVP candidate this year?
Yeah, 1,001%. He's the most valuable. You take PCA out of our lineup and out of the field, this team's not 17 games above 500. We're still probably a really good team, but we're not that good of a team. We're not, elite team. And with him in there, because he's an elite player. He's a five. He's your 5-star player. 5-tool player. Can hit. He can bat for average. He can run. He's the Gold Glove. He's the best center fielder in the game. He's 1,001% MVP. Now, obviously, you got the Otanis in the world. Especially if Otani comes back pitching and things like that, and does starts pitching well, then that's kind of sways the thing. But to me, because he plays the field and Otani only hits right now, give me PCA over Otani.
Yeah, my thought process would be if you take Otani away from the Dodgers,
They're
the
still a good
Dodgers are
team.
still
Yeah,
they're still a
yeah,
really good team. If you take
yeah.
PCA away
That's
from the Cubs, where are they?
a
So,
thousand one percent, JB. 1,001%. That's what I'm
yeah,
right on
I did.
on step with you.
Yeah, it's not something I thought of. But Botkins, listen, I appreciate your time. Tonight's game's postponed, so we got to wait for tomorrow to see the Brewers again. What's your thoughts on the rest of the series?
Yeah, I mean, so they're not going to make up this game until September, I read, I think, or August. So we're not even getting a doubleheader tomorrow. We're just getting the lone game. Just go out and win. Take and beat them tomorrow, and then take two. You got you sweep the series, and then you got the Mariners, and then here comes we're headed to St. Louis for 4 games, and let's take that series as well, and kind of keep statting up these standings. And it's been nice. We're midway through June, and we haven't really hit that June swoon. I feel like we did a little bit with the offense, but the team itself has not hit that full June swoon. So I'm happy.
All right, and where can people find you?
Yeah, y'all know you can find me right here on the Bodkin Show. In about 30 minutes at 8 o'clock, we're gonna do our MMA show, Head Kicks and Haymakers. So please check us out at 8 o'clock for all your MMA stuff.
All right, Botkins, a pleasure, man. Thanks again.
Hey, it's been good seeing you, JB. Glad you're back, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good one. All right, so we're talking Happ is the best left fielder in Cubs history. So if you got somebody different in mind, send us a message, let us know. But the next guy, he'll let me know if that's a legit statement or not. Let's bring in the pundit's pundit, Jacob Christner.
It's close, very, very close. I remember Moreland, and he was pretty darn good, in the lead. But better than a right fielder, that's for darn sure. I mean, Keith Moreland in right field is the reason Dawson was there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'd have to do some research. I don't know my Cubs history.
Well, it's up. It is definitely up there. I'm not sure he's better than Moise Alou, but I'm not sure of that. Maybe they're going by the stats. Moise Alou is pretty much one of the best. But
yeah, and
Keith Moreland was good. But overall, Ian's up there. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and I mean, we'd have to take just his time with the Cubs with Alou, so I don't know. It'd be tough to see. I don't know. It's a great question. Like I said, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see.
He stays a couple more years and he gets the World Series here and everything. He's got it. There's no question.
So let's get started. Let's go. This Cubs for you, Chris Flexen, 4-0 with a save, 10 strikeouts, 1 earned run. What has Flexen meant for this team this year?
Well, he's definitely flexing. Yeah, well, that's for darn sure. No, you really overall, let's say this: the Cubs they really do need an ace for the run, for the playoff run.
Right.
But it's unbelievable how they're doing so well with. I mean, I can guarantee that the wages on the pitching staff the wages on the pitching staff are not. I mean, especially after Justin Steele's gone, are like almost nothing, and they're doing this well. And
right.
And it's like, personally, after seeing a shutout by Kyle Hendricks last night on the Yankees, I gotta wish we had that in Kyle Hendricks, so he would have been the leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
the Cubs were losing. The Cubs were losing with him though, so we can't say it. But just congratulations. That was the old Hendricks last night.
But, yeah, but he hasn't pitched like that all year, really. So I mean,
last couple of games. But yeah, you're correct on that. It's like he's 5 and 6 because they can hit.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, overall, you look at all of these. I mean, like Palencia. I'm talking about the bullpen also. Look at how many under twos there are. Isn't there one that's still 0.00? And in June.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I definitely think you always want to bolster up the bullpen at the trade deadline when you're in a tight division race or a race where you want to win the World Series. But the Cubs bullpen has actually been pleasantly surprising this year.
Well, it's getting better. Like by April and May, they'd have 2 straight good games or 1 game, and then give up 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they do it again and give up 6, and it was like, and really, it's making me wonder if they're keeping Porter Hodge out for. If they're keeping Porter Hodge out on purpose, because I like the guy, but it's like, and like he's had a weird year. Like for instance, he had games against the Dodgers and Padres that just blew him away. And then he gave up 6 against he gave up 6 by himself against the Diamondbacks at home.
Some guys just pitch better against doing pressure situations when there's no pressure. They're not as good. It's hard to tell. Just maybe a bad day.
Well,
who knows?
It's true, and it's like it makes me wonder if they're keeping him out on purpose, because it was also supposed to be a 10-day IL. But
yeah,
the truth, and I like because the thing about Porter is I remember that very, very first game against the Braves, 9 strikes and 10 pitches. And,
yeah.
And it was like, and the 1 ball was barely. And it's like, he's got the stuff. But
yeah.
You got to get yourself to it. But you have to be able to just go in there just in the biggest moments and be like Larry Bird. Remember when he just shoot free throws, 2 seconds left, just like he was with like 2 minutes in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to have you have to just have that confidence.
No, I definitely agree.
Huh?
I agree. I mean, listen, that's been part of my thing. You know, obviously, it's no shock to anybody here. If you watch the show once, you know I'm a Yankee fan. Some guys can play in the Bronx. Some guys can't. And, I mean, you could be a 10-time All-Star. You get to Yankee Stadium and you just can't play anymore. And there's no logical explanation except you can't handle the pressure, you know? So there's psychological things to certain parts of the game that just don't make sense.
Well, remember the golfer Greg Norman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is number 2 all time and number 1 in the thing, like 330 some odd weeks. And then there's Tiger's number 1, of course, you know. And 330 some odd weeks. Yet he has 2 grand slams and he blew like 10 of them. Literally on a final shot on everything. And it's like the original media's idea was he hunted sharks and he's good looking and handsome and he's James Bond. And it's like everybody tries to bring this James Bond onto people. And the idea of James Bond is that really the only 2 James Bonds I've ever known is Bird and Jordan.
Yeah.
Because just literally like 2 seconds left 2 seconds left and they're in the free throw line. Neither of them took 1 breath.
Yeah. It was like
just
like any other day.
Just any other day. And it's like, that's James Bond. And I'm like, and it's one of those where it's like, it's one of those things where in the world, Cubs are going to have to get a guy, and Flexen could be that, what you're talking about, or any of these. You got to get that guy who it's Game 7 of the World Series, you just go in. I mean, it's just got to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Let's go outside of Wrigley. So, in the shock of the year, the Red Sox coming off a sweep of my Yankees, you know, after they beat them 2 out of 3, I think, the week before. They swept them. So what do the Red Sox do? The Red Sox do what poor franchises do, but this time I'll give them a pass because Devers was becoming a heads case. They traded Rafael Devers to the Giants for Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, Jose Bello, and James Tibbs III. Did the Red Sox give up too much? So before you give me your response, listen.
Oh, well, Devers, for one thing, was a diva.
Yeah, listen. I understand why the Red Sox had to get rid of Devers. He was not looking to do what the Red Sox wanted him to do. They weren't looking for anything crazy. They wanted him to play first base because they got another guy to play third base. And, you know, they wanted what was best for the team, and he didn't want to do it. And, you know, it wasn't working out. So it wasn't as though they just gave up on their season or said, forget it. They had to make a move, and they tried to get the most they could for a guy that wasn't really happy there. So do you think that the Red Sox could have got more for him, or do you think that this was the best deal? Did they give up too much?
The best you're going to get, because I think they just want to get rid of Diva. I'm just going to call it Rafael Diva. I mean, if he's saying I'm going to play for I'm going to play any position for the Giants, it just means he's happy to be out of Boston. But how long is that going to last? Will he do this here, or is it really Boston? Remember, Boston has a real history of racism. All that stuff. Got to wonder if he's going to bring that up in the future. But really, overall, the biggest thing about it is the fact that Boston needs to take a deep breath a little bit and start reloading. I don't know if this is a reload. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is a reload or anything, but they really, because what have they got in the 2000s? And I'm just asking this, in the 2000s, what they got? 4 World Series?
Yep. I believe so.
4 World Series in the 2000s. They've been to 9 playoffs, 10 playoffs.
Yeah.
This is the thing. They can throw a complaint, that is what fans will do, but reload. That's 10 playoffs and 4 World Series in 25 years. We'd kill for that.
Listen, their farm system is getting better. Devers wasn't happy. The Red Sox were a dark horse pick by a lot of media people to win the AL East this year. I didn't get it. I didn't see where they made the pickup from last year, but that was the dark horse pick. You hear a lot of big media people say, "Oh, it's a Red Sox year." When they brought in Bergman and they had Devers, I didn't get it. I didn't see how it was happening. Devers didn't want to play first, and now he's playing first for the Giants, which there's obviously more to the play than playing first if he was playing first in San Francisco. So I don't get it.
If someone says Devers, if someone starts to 0 for 35 like Devers did, okay, he's doing good right now. Who's to say he's not going to be 0 for 35 in September somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's to say they're not going to hit? It's like, that's when you're 0 for 35. This is what I'm saying. Not saying that he's not a good hitter. He sure is.
Yeah.
But when you're 0 for 35, that is, oh my Lord, almost 10 games.
Yeah, that's at least.
That's almost 10 games, 9 games, 12 games, 11 games. This is the thing. When you're not getting like that, you're not disciplined. I have a thing. I go to the Braves games 5 a year. Like, I have my family and everything, so I go about 5 a year, 4 a year maybe. And I will look on the deal, and every time I look on the scoreboard and everything like that, it'll say 276 hitter. First place I look is the OBP. It's on base percentage. It's like, I want to see something, at the limit, 50 points. I want to see about 70, 80 points above.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I want to see that 70, 80 points above, and it's like, if you are not getting on base, if you allowed yourself 0 for 35, you're not disciplined. Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, if it happened then, who's to say that's not going to happen at the world's worst possible time if you have that problem with discipline at the time?
Yeah, I completely agree. Even being unlucky as a hitter, 35 straight at bats to go 0 for 35, it's a pretty rare occurrence. All right, let's go in our hot Cub time machine. Let's go back to 2015. Game 4, the Cubs clinched the postseason series victory for the first time ever at Wrigley, defeating those nasty birds, the St. Louis Cardinals. So what do you remember about that?
Fun. But it was a lot of fun, but I was thinking right afterwards that our time might run out because it was the Mets. And all the Cubs were doing was hitting home runs like a mad dog, which is fun against the Cardinals. But remember what I've been saying, the one thing I love about this team, hit to all fields. They run out. Everybody runs out of ground ball. Everybody runs out of ground ball. They hit all fields. They hit home runs. They steal bases. They do everything. They do bunts. Everybody does everything. And see, this is the reason I bring all that up is 2015. It's because all the Cubs did was big, powerful home runs, which great for YouTube, great for TikTok, wonderful for 30-second reels. Not good for when you're facing off against the Mets and they have a pitching staff, and guess what? Home runs end, and you got to be able to hit all fields. But see, this team could be able, if they would have a series, this team with the potential, they have a series of nothing but homers. They could have a series where they hit 12 runs and no homers.
Yeah,
that's what their potential is. That's what happened in 15. They didn't have that potential.
Completely agree with you. So where can we find you?
Well, TikTok, me and a few others, we are the official TikTok is Sideline Sports, Sideline One Sports. We have that thing, and we're starting to build some people. We're building the followers on it right now.
Nice.
They're coming without me going to them, which is good. I'm also writing here and there, which I'm working on that here and there. I actually might be working on a short film pretty soon, so things are working out.
I love it. Great to hear. Jacob, it was great seeing you. We'll see you next week. Guys, it's great to be back here. Do a confidential. 17 games over 500. No game tonight, so you should all been here watching this. Denzel, great job while I was gone, as usual. No better host when I'm not here. I mean, I would say 1 and 1A, me and you. Got to split hairs to see who's better. I'm better. But anyway, I didn't say that out loud, Denzel. You did hear me. But we will be back next week. We got the Brewers, we got the Cardinals. Let's see if we get to 20 games over 500. Let's beat the Birds. They're red already. All right, we'll see you next week. We're out of here.